Do we hear me now? Am I too loud? Am I too quiet? If it's too quiet, it's too bad, but you know. Seems good. Awesome. All right. Well, it sounds like you have a big storm going on your end. So I guess it came from here to down there. Okay. Back to it, my friends. We have a case to finish. The truth behind the KG8 incident. September 10th, 5:45 p.m. District Court Defendant Lobby Number 1. Right, we were gonna go check out the other room. What is this incredibly overpowering sweet scent? It smells like flowers. Baby Ninja and Surprise Gumshoe Mentor are here. Yes. Uncle Bad, is this it? Isn't that Detective Bad and Kay over there? It looks like she managed to escape the bailiff. No, that's not quite it. Too bad, but it's so pretty. I think you're still a bit too young to be wearing that. But since you found it, I guess I can let you keep it. I've never been a perfume girl. Thanks, I'll treasure it always. Those two seem to get along rather well. Oh, here. I've got something else for you. Yay! Thank you, Uncle Bad. Earlier, I ate one of these with Gummy. Gummy? Oh, you mean Gumshoe. Gummy is... he is trying to be nice to me because I was gonna get in trouble. And then he got in trouble because he lied to protect me. Gummy. I know he didn't kill Daddy. Don't cry. Faraday would be sad if he saw you crying. I've never in my life had or used cologne, but with male privilege, that is also not hard. Like, I'm not saying there aren't good versions of both of those things, but in general, it's just never been my jam. That's right, Baby Ninja Gumshoe's just a poor Maya. We'll clear his name. I mean, we almost did, and then Callisto was like, nah-uh. I'm not crying. Okay. Oh, it's Mr. from before, and the lady too. Don't you think it would be a good idea to go home for the time being? You're not involved in the investigation, so it's for the best if you do. Actually, I'm Uncle Bad's assistant. So I'm related to the investigation. Is that so, Detective Bad? Yeah, I guess. What? You thought just scolding us like kids to not mess up the crime scene. And now you let the child run free. Why? People are free to investigate things outside of the actual crime scene. You also had a few things she wanted to look into. Got a problem with that? I don't have a problem with that, but I'm curious as to what Miss Yu is looking into. The most I know about perfume is that one episode of Kaguya-sama. It seems complicated there, but that's also just probably half a joke. Well, and it's just mainly that, like, perfume smells differently in the bottle than it does when you wear it, and so you have to figure out if it smells good on you. And I'm like, I can't even be bothered.
Uncle Bad, I'm gonna look somewhere else now, okay?
Alright, I'm counting on you.
Oh, that's right. Hey, mister!
Yes, what is it?
I know Gummy really isn't the bad guy. I mean it. So, please, find the real bad guy, okay?
I won't forgive whoever did this. But in the absence of the perfect piece of testimony or an evidence, there is no one else who could be the true culprit other than Detective Gumshoe. She wandered off while I was pondering. Well, that expensive painting is ill-suited to be hanging on the wall in this room. I wonder what... Oops. I did not mean to hit that. I wonder if a guard detail should be placed on it. Why do you say that? Well, a desperate low-paid detective might take it off the wall with it someday. You never know. She may be thinking of hiring a guard, but it's obvious she isn't factoring in the guard's salary whatsoever. Oh, Francisca. This television's the same model as the one in the defendant lobby too. Looks like the two rooms are basically the same in terms of layouts and supplies. Yes. Two rooms are basically the same, huh? Hey, this window's open. One of the windows of the lobby is open as well. The air conditioning is working just fine in this room, so why did they open the window, I wonder?
It's a good question, Edgeworth. Why did they open the window?
That's an incredibly strong scented herbal tea. I fear that more than being relaxing, this scent may make one a bit heady instead. You put in a special request for that. No wonder she's so violent today. If she's been drinking this stuff the whole time. Neither woman should be allowed to comment on this particular topic. Ever. Hey, Bad. Can we talk? Detective Bad, what exactly was Kay searching for? Nothing that concerns you, boy.
Oh. And I suppose it has something to do with Kay.
It does, because she's Faraday's daughter. Anyway, hurry up and get to the point. I don't have time to waste. It sounds like you'd rather be left alone. I have something I'd like to confirm with you once again. I don't have anything to say to you. Be that as it may, we still have questions that need answers. Now then, first of all, what is the overpowering smell that permeates in this room? Upon entering this room, I thought I was going to suffocate. It's the ultra-strong perfume Mia wears. She spilled some of it. I was having a bad time of it myself. Oof. Spilt perfume is the worst. I didn't think twice and opened the window, but that smell's still here. I remember back when I worked at the department store. Thankfully, I didn't work on the same floor as the perfume counters. But my god, if something broke there, it was like everywhere. Forever. Perfume, huh? So the sweet scent in the air is perfume.
Well, it's giving up quite a stench. I bet it's some cheap no-name brand.
said it's a famous brand from overseas.
It's a knockoff. Yes, definitely a knockoff.
No disrespect, but she forced one of those bottles on me. Here, little girl, you could have it.
I was born for a much more expensive and refined perfume.
Oh, Francisca, you're 13, you don't need perfume.
However, seeing as how you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it. Miles Edgeworth, you will hold on to this bottle without fail.
Why can't she ever be honest about her wants?
Misuse perfume!
Give it to Bad by you, the same perfume as the one spilled in lobby number 1. So now we have the perfume this you wears. Just fantastic. Is that all you wanted to talk about? If so, I'm going back to investigating. Actually, I still have a few other things I wish to inquire about. During the recess. So you were in this room the entire recess? Like I said, I made a call to the precinct to get the big lug down here. But other than that, I was waiting for the recess to end here.
At least your story is consistent.
Earlier you stated that you were in the lobby with Miss Yu. Yeah, I ran into her in the hallway. She said that she wanted to talk to me about something, so we came in here. Then, what you're saying is that until Detective Gumshoe's arrival, you and Miss Yu were in 2 different locations. I guess I am. Interesting.
Speaking of the lawyer, she seems to have a great dislike for you.
Let's see, Miss Yu is the sister of the victim of the KG8 incident. And as I recall, Detective Bad was the lead detective on that case. I wonder if the reason for her disdain isn't simply because you failed to guard Cece, but because you were the lead detective on the case. You knew? I also know that today's trial involving the Kodopian embassy staff member is being referred to as the second KG8 incident. Now then, Detective, I believe it is time for you to be honest with me and told me the truth behind your relationship with Miss Yu and Mr. Faraday and the KG8 incident. If you already know that much, I guess it'd be alright to tell you. I mean, Von Karma was just like, here is the lay of the land. Go, my protege, solve the case. So, now then, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the KG8 incident. It's not exactly a happy story, other than the people who were directly involved. You two will be the first to hear what I'm about to tell. Okay. Ooh, we got the sad music. The honest truth behind the KG8 incident. Faraday, you and I. As you already know, we 3 were involved in the KG8 incident. Faraday and I were originally on the trail of the smuggling ring. You mean the smuggling case involving one of the Amano Group's secretaries? Dramatic backstory time, yes. The trial was just a front. The facade. Yeah, but the case became tainted. All because the witness was going to testify about the Amano Group's ties to the smuggling ring, CCU, was killed. Then, what became of the secretary who was arrested? His name was Colin Deveray. He looks familiar. To be honest, the guy didn't know a thing about the smuggling ring. But he confessed to knowing about it anyway. Deveray was probably being intimidated by the big boss. Just another scapegoat. The boss man of the Amano Group can't seriously mean Mr. Ernest Amano. That can't be right. It's probably just Detective Bad's personal hypothesis. What is he trying to do by suspecting Mr. Amano of being involved with smuggling? What indeed? No way this upstanding gentleman could be part of smuggling. I suppose it would be quite difficult to secure an acquittal after he confessed. But the man who killed CCU, Manny Cochin, was a completely different person. But since he's already been acquitted once for her murder... Mr. Faraday, how could you have let him go? If I remember correctly, I heard that Mr. Faraday had an important piece of evidence stolen from him. That wasn't Faraday's fault. It was mine. I wasn't vigilant enough. Faraday, Cece, I was supposed to protect them both. Miss Yu did mention that as well. Hey, Captain! I arrived to lawyer babies. Yeah! Powerful people don't commit crimes, Chris. Jeez. They are only ever upstanding individuals. About how Detective Bad was supposed to guard her sister. But even I, who was supposed to protect them, I fell into their trap. That's kind of trap. The holes in this jacket are a testament to that trap. You mean you were fired upon? You've been shot at many times in one gunfight. No. Only about half of these are from that case. But the reason I continue to wear this jacket is to remind myself. The fact that he's been shot at so many times that only half of the bullets in his coat are from that incident. Of the lessons I learned from the KG8 incident. How has it been going? I see. I couldn't protect CCU, and the suspect was found not guilty. We had hit a brick wall as far as the lawyer was concerned, and that's when she came to the courtroom. The victim's sister. That's when I first met Callisto Yu. What part of Japanifornia does he work that he's been shot at that often? It's a very good question. And what are they firing at him that they're only like perfectly hitting the collars of his coat? His coat is clearly evidence must take place partially in American Dutchman. Ocalanto. About when you first met Miss Yu. It was on the day of the verdict of the KG8 incident was handed down, was it not? Yes. Faraday and I, we apologized to her from the bottom of our hearts. It was all we could do, but just say you're sorry won't bring back my sister, she said. And then she gave me a hard slap across the face. Well, she certainly had a lot of self-control to stop at just a slap. If it was me, not even 100 lashes would have been a punishment enough. I suppose not. You said that it herself. That she never wanted to see either of us ever again. But after that, you've seen her many times over, correct? Yeah, Faraday and I, even after the KG8 incident had come to a close, we continued to hunt down the smuggling ring and got involved in a variety of cases. But it was no use. We cracked so many different cases. But the result was always the same. We couldn't find the real mastermind behind the ring. Is the ring really that big? It was in pursuit of the ring that we met you once again. It was during another trial related to smuggling ring. Faraday was the prosecutor, and I, as the lead detective, took the witness stand. She appeared out of the blue as a defense attorney. Her client was related to the smuggling ring, and she was defending them. Yeah. Yu was pursuing the ring as best she could as a lawyer. I think she defended Riel this time for the same reason. Come to think of it, Miss Yu did say something to that same effect. I have my own agenda. I'm still on the hunt for leads regarding the KG8 incident, alright? And for that, you have not a single qualm about defending a known killer. Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Miss Riel was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him, ever. So don't you dare suggest I was going to. It doesn't matter for reasons, as helping a criminal is just despicable. Also, I don't remember if I highlighted the last one or not, but remind me just in case later to check. You're so naive, little girl. I could have stolen this lollipop from you. That's how naive you are. He's doing the Sanji. He's got a lollipop. How dare you insult the daughter of Von Karma? Just like us, you felt that she had hit her limit of what the law could do. That's all. The law is merely a tool. There is no limit. It is only the skill of the craftsman. You two are still too young, but one day you'll know what I mean. But enough sidetracking. What matters is that we meet you again in pursuit of the smuggling ring. That's all. Ugh. Ugh. Knowing the future and the limits of the law. Case 5, chuckling in the future. Pretty much. So what is your relation to Mr. Faraday? You even seem to know Kay fairly well. I met him when he was a rookie prosecutor. Known him ever since. And Kay, I've known her since the day she was born. Faraday and I cracked quite a few cases together. But you two seem to have made no progress at all on the Yatagarasu case. Did we touch a nerve? I only have one thing to say to you. No one knew more about the Yatagarasu than me and Faraday. That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial. To prove that Riel was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if he hadn't turned around and accused Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation. But I guess I won't be doing that either. I sense that there's more to the statement that needs an eye. Perhaps a bit more digging into the Yatagarasu is what's necessary. Jesus Christ, I've been talking so much of this dude. Who is Mrs. Faraday? Lawyers don't need mobs, only dads. Anime in general, you only have one parent most of the time. Apparently it's like a law of the land, you know? You claim to know much about Yatagarasu. Would you care to share what you know of me? What you two should be looking for right now is proof of the murderous intent towards Faraday and Riel. I agree, which is exactly why I'm asking you about the Yatagarasu. What? The KG8 incident and the second KG8 incident. Both of these cases are tied to the smuggling ring. And in both of these cases, the witness who was to testify about the ring was murdered. However, there is one point in which they differ, and that is the presence or absence of the great thief Yatagarasu. Mr. Riel claimed to be the Yatagarasu. However, in the middle of the trial, he suddenly declared Mr. Faraday to be the real Yatagarasu. Who is the Yatagarasu, everyone? Who? Who? Oh, that's nostalgic. Way back when CSI was something I watched. I don't think that show's aged well, I bet. I'd be curious. Then, during the recess, they were both killed. Don't you find that to be at least a bit odd? Miles Edgeworth, stop beating around the bush and just spit it out already. Aged like milk, but still aged better than Bones. I love Bones, Captain. Granted, I've only watched like the first half of Bones. I've never watched the second half. But that's like my crime serial of choice. They put a computer virus on a skeleton. Yeah, but that's like way later. All crime serials kind of go really weird eventually. I'm actually surprised it had like a very solid 5 to 6 seasons. So why is your reason for Bones being bad one of the best things they did? A skeleton. I could only wish to come up with an idea that's stupid. I believe that there must be some reason that the two men suspected of being the Yatagarasu were both killed at the same time. A reason, huh? And so, in order to catch Mr. Faraday and Mr. Riel's cold-blooded killer, I feel I need to learn as much as I can about the Yatagarasu. If it will help you solve the case. Then I'll tell you the reason why we've never caught the Yatagarasu. What was that sudden outburst for? You almost made me whip you by accident. Yeah. I mean, I also used to watch like a bunch of Criminal Minds and NCIS. I'm dark and twisty with all the crime serials I've absorbed. I mean, not really dark and twisty, but like enough. I think this is why reading thrillers, it's kind of hard for me to like be surprised by them anymore. I've been too inundated with thriller twists from all avenues of my life. It still accidentally whipped me anyway. There are 3 main reasons why the Yatagarasu will always be a step ahead. First, the Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. Second, the Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. Third, the Yatagarasu doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind ever. I see. So those are the Yatagarasu's special traits. It sounds like an incredibly elusive thief. I'm not saying I stole Dvorak's rules from NCIS, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, that sounds about right. Albeit they're a lot simpler. The Yatagarasu has never been caught on tape, never tries to draw anyone's attention, and would never do something as lowbrow as commit murder. That's how I knew that Riel wasn't the real Yatagarasu right away. But you can't use that sort of logic on its own to prove that he wasn't. Listen, little girl, I'm not done talking yet. What's the different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Cadopian embassy, Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence. Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about. In that case, how can you be so sure it was the Yatagarasu who sent it? That's easy. A special card that only the Yatagarasu uses was attached. That's how I can be so sure. And just what sort of card is this? Here, take a look at this article. Whenever the Yatagarasu wants to publicize something, a white card is sent along with the stolen information. But when we questioned Riel about what was sent along with the white card, Riel had no idea what it was. Ah, and that's how Detective Bat knew that Mr. Riel was a phony. Thank you very much. I have a much better understanding of the Yatagarasu now. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes? His Honor would like to transfer the evidence from today's trial over to you. So if you could please head over to the courtroom, it'd be much appreciated, sir. Understood. I'll be there shortly. Detective Bad, what does the law mean to you? Finding the answer to that question is the only reason I'm still alive. I became a prosecutor to find the answer to that question myself. Had to step away. Yeah, I enjoyed crime forensic shows. I watched every episode of Forensic Files. Oddly relaxing. I don't know if I've ever seen that. But, I grew up on them with my dad, because he would always tape, back when you would record on tape, CSI episodes. And we'd watch them when I was probably too young to be watching them. I don't know. I don't actually know when CSI came out. I feel like I was probably too young to be watching them, but, who really knows what age you're supposed to be watching that stuff? And to play a part in ensuring that all criminals everywhere are found guilty. It's the judge!
Oh, it's you, Mr. Edgeworth.
It appears that His Honor is still a bit dispirited.
For the first time today, I experienced what it's like to stand at the witness stand. I now have a greater appreciation for just how hard it is to give testimony.
Well, there's no reason for you to be all depressed about it, Your Honor. As a judge, no one expects you to think anything other than the verdict. Francisca, there is no need to further depress His Honor. But I'm not trying to, Miles. Your Honor. Your Honor, I've come to collect the evidence that was to be transferred to me. Your Honor, the evidence?
Your Honor. Oh, you, yes. How can I help you?
I'd like to collect the evidence now, sir. Your Honor, do you think you can stay focused long enough to at least do your job?
Yes, I'm sorry. And I would accept the defense attorney has yet to arrive.
She is busy with investigation, so let's keep this brief, shall we?
Very well. In that case, please confirm that all the pieces of evidence are present. Furthermore, the evidence that was used in the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Riel are also included, so please go ahead and use them in your investigation into the case.
Understood, Your Honor. Pearl saw a murder at like 6. She's fine. Kids can handle trauma. Pearl's body is also putty, can stretch triple in mass. She's built different. I still just, maybe I've told this story before, but you know, I'm old and I can't remember anything. But I remember the earliest time of when I was like truly freaked out by something was when my dad let me watch Sixth Sense with him. I don't know what it was about that movie. It freaked me out, and I couldn't sleep without every light in the house being on for like the next few nights after that. And I think in hindsight, like, I don't necessarily think that movie is that scary anymore, but like for my like, God, I don't know, 12-year-old brain, maybe younger, I was like, nope. I think it was like the scene in the school where they have all the people like hanging in the halls. A piece of evidence that were used in the murder of those 2 men. This could be a good chance for me to find new leads regarding that case. Poltergeist for you? I didn't trust trees for years. Oh. I don't think I watched Poltergeist too much later in life, and even then, I'm not really a horror movie person at all, but I used to watch more of them. I've placed all the evidence over at the prosecutor's bench for you. Oh, it's nicely laid out in plastic wrap and everything. I see. Thank you very much. I will go confirm that they are all accounted for. I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen. What's over here? So this is the evidence related to today's Codopian embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag. You mean the evidence bag that was on the table in lobby number 2, right? Yes, finally we can now take a look at the evidence itself and not just the data about them. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine them while we have time. I was like 7 or 8, and one day outside the apartment I lived at, they must have taken down a tree when I was at school. Agreed. I want to take a good look at all the evidence from the embassy matter, too. Dumb baby Chris freaked out about the monster trees. Oh my god, between 2 nights, the tree was suddenly gone. Aww. That's adorable. And why is that? Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about. Don't point your crop at me just because you don't know something. And don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today. I think someone's still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma. And so it's so real to see a knife up close. So we have the knife, the gun, an envelope, and what's this organizer doing here?
Oh, that's right! I completely forgot to tell you!
What? About what, Your Honor?
They found Mr. Faraday's personal organizer inside that evidence bag of his. Detective Bad requested to be placed along to you, and he said that it would help the investigation.
Detective Bad said that. My childhood traumas, Are You Afraid of the Dark? The pool episode? Oh, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Oh, that one! Hey Donnie, we're just talking about what piece of media traumatized us as children. It was so graphic for a Nick show. crazy in thinking Are You Afraid of the Dark was a Canadian show? Well, specifically horror. That's fair. True. Detective Bad said that. That's a strange stroke of luck. It was filmed in Canada. Okay, I'm not crazy then. I thought so. Rocky Horror Picture Show traumatized me as a kid. My baby vanilla mind couldn't comprehend it. Baby Chris's brain wasn't ready to expand that far yet. Well, never look a good gift horse in the mouth. We might as well flip through it, though, too. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious nook and cranny. Okay, well, what's in here? I took a quick look through these documents before the trial started.
Well, I wasn't afforded the opportunity to skim it.
I suppose I should explain it to you then.
Yes, you should. Perfectly and in entirety, if you please.
The Gulliver live-action movie was just plain gross and stuck with me. There's a horrible transformation scene where Mark Hamill turns into a giant cricket. I haven't had the pleasure, and I don't think I want to.
On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart.
Oh wait, that's Edgeworth.
Magriel was brought in that night as a suspect thoroughly questioned, because the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot.
It's based on a manga, which I did not know at the time.
Huh.
I'm trying to think what else would fall into that category. I'm sure. I'll think about it. It's some more. Because the murder weapons found on him supposedly he was arrested.
A simpleton of a man, that's what he was.
I forgot the specifics, but there was an X-Files episode where some kind of Eastern European exorcism equivalent. I could see that. X-Files had a lot of weird shit going on in that.
Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't only incriminating evidence he had. Mr. Riel was caught in the act on film by security camera. He was an even bigger simpleton than I thought. I can't believe he didn't notice the security camera. The Cadopian embassy's security system is supposedly very well designed. He may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area. So, have you seen the contents of the video yourself? Yes, the surveillance video the security camera took was played during the trial of Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Riel on it. Even the sound of gunshots is crystal clear. So the footage is included sound, huh? I don't think I ever want to see a moment someone died of someone's death in real life. Me neither.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something that more recent that freaked me out. I think playing AI Somnium 2, which I don't know if anyone in the chat even remotely has played any of the AI Somnium, let alone the second one. But it definitely was a game that solidified in me that I get freaked out by weird tech glitches. I don't know why. It is now a thing that freaks me out. So, but that game in particular loved that shit. And, I also had a cryptid alien phase where I was sure something would snatch me up and take me off in the night. Oh. I used to be freaked out by this clown doll that my nana got me when I was and it was in my closet. I would have to make sure that the closet door was closed because I'd be afraid that he would climb out and come get me. It was not all. I was embarrassing. It was definitely too late for that. Fair enough.
There's one episode where Bruce Campbell was a demon just trying to start a normal family with a normal looking kids, and he kept aborting his demon babies once the sonograms came out weird. I was like 11 at the time. Oh god, Dottie. In your defense, there's a solid 50-50 was haunted. Clown doll from the grandparents' instant curse. Oh, and it wasn't like a clown. It was like a French jester kind of style with like the teardrop under the on the cheek under the eye kind of dealio. 70%. Maybe 80. I had a phase where I was also worried about cryptid kidnappings. I'm sure I've mentioned that my sister is terrified of the movie Gremlins. It's not a personal fear of mine, but that was instilled into our household as a whole. Not haunted, teardrop under the eye just means he's killed someone in prison. Oh no. Mr. Faraday's organizer. It appears he was in the habit of using it. It looks like he wrote his strategy for getting Mr. Riel convicted down here. I've collected the evidence I need to prove Riel was the killer. Between the handgun Riel had on him and when he was arrested and the surveillance tape, I should be able to prove that he was the one. It appears that Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Riel was the killer in the case. The sound of the handgun going off was recorded in a superb clarity on the surveillance video. I also have evidence I can now use to prove that Riel is not the real Yatagarasu. And it would also appear that he had proved that Mr. Riel was not a Yatagarasu. I find it harder to get freaked out by modern fiction. Reality is much scarier. That's fair. Mostly because we lived in a rural spot and my mom/grandmother loved telling stories about monsters in the woods that hunted people. Yeah. See, I've always lived in the city, so I don't have the freaky forest thing, but if I lived in like a rural or desolate location, no. I even get a little freaked out when I'm like in my own apartment alone for a long period of time, so I can't even imagine like, or at the very least at nighttime. I don't know. No matter how he may try to play it, as long as I have the Yatagarasu's key, I can prove that he's a phony. If I present it to him in court, it should clear everything up. He apparently also had a very definition of a piece of evidence. It's been a long battle. I hope that this will finally bring it to an end. I will be vague as possible in my notes. Also, there's apparently collective trauma in the late 80s to early 90s kids concerning an episode of Unsolved Mysteries about an alien abduction, specifically reenactment scene where an alien is staring at a sleeping person through a window. That would freak me out. Some real supernatural cryptic hotspots out in Utah, not too far from Salt Lake, but we wouldn't have time even if we were so inclined. No. I live close to the edge of the woods with misty moors nearby and the whole bunch of... You are like Bubbles, you sound like you live in basically the setting of any of the gothic mystery like styled books I've ever read. I think that might have been what kicked me off my alien phase. Alien at the window scene burned into my retina. That's so... To discredit any claim Mr. Riel may have made about being the real Yatagarasu. Right? Yeah. And the other way to prove that Mr. Riel was guilty of the party of the embassy murder. This organizer is a clue straight from Mr. Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later.
Look, there's a picture stuck between the pages here. It appears to be a key. And a rather ornate one at that. Just look at the design on the handle. The craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Atagarasu key that Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organizer? I've lived next to 2 sets of woods. One led to a farm, one to a swamp. You know, that the house is turning into an ice box. I can add that to the list. Oh, Bubbles. If I could send you warmth, I would. I'm so sorry that it's so cold right now. And I've only lived out in the country one time when my family lived on this, like, we rented this old farmstead. And the place, it was just so quiet at nighttime. It was a little unnerving. I think I need to live in a city. I can't not live in a city. It's too quiet. Freak me out too much. I struggle to sleep at night if I don't have, like, music on or something. So... we used to have a female puma that roamed out behind the house at night when I was really little. We were forbidden to go out for anything after dark. Sound of a woman screaming, but it was a cat. Oh my god. The Atagarasu key. Detective Bad said something earlier. What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police, and the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy, the Atagarasu. One day I'd like to live in a city again. The Atagarasu sent the evidence. Until now, the Atagarasu would always publicize any yeah, we've read this already. Dealings in the mass media, but now, this time, the evidence, this time, was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about. Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep the key a secret. Of course, the ever-roaming horde of coyotes yipping and yowling like a pack of demons is still around. See, in my neighborhood, there's just like a ton of deer that like to hang out in your yard and stuff like that, but even then... I mean, as a kid, I grew up in a house that was literally down the street from a school that, like, I didn't go to, but, like, there was a playground and stuff. So, like, the area I was in was very, like, surrounded by other houses with parents and kids in them. Like, I don't know. I always live in the suburbs, the one kind or another, never the true city. I got a deer who liked to bolt into the roads at the worst times. St. Paul didn't seem so bad, but Baltimore is lol nope. Yeah, no, that's fair for Baltimore. But I mean, like, I don't live downtown. I do live in, like, the more residential part of Winnipeg, but I don't live anywhere that's, like, an offshoot of the main city or anything like that. I must have been trying to keep this secret key safe. As the prosecutor of both the Atagarasu and the smuggling ring case, that's to be expected. It's the knife that was used to kill Miss Faraday. Who would have thought such a beautiful piece of art could be used in such a cruel act? The scariest moment of my life was to stare down with a mysterious entity in the woods as I was walking the nearby railroad tracks. Oh, so many freaky things. I remember one time when I was on a road trip with my mom and the man she was with at the time. We were going through Yellowstone Park, I think.
I don't know. It was a national park. I don't know if it was Yellowstone or not, but regardless, we were driving through it and it was like late at night. It was pitch black. And yeah, we had to drive like really slow at the time. And as we were driving, suddenly there was like a huge mass of something by my window, and like I screamed and startled my sister awake. And my mom was like, "What is going on?" And there was I think it was a bison who was just grazing by the side of the road, and he was just so close to our car. He was massive, and we were just like, "Oh, let's just move very slowly away." It's never crossed your mind to use your riding crop for the wrong purpose. That's odd. That is it. Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organizer. And that's certainly odd. The weapon that was used to kill the Kurdopian embassy staff member was a gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife that was used to murder Mr. Faraday come from? Oh my god, connect the dots, Edgeworth. Oh dear, it was the sun was setting, all I could see was the eye shine, just a pair of glowing eyes silently watching me. Yeah. Isn't it obvious? It was brought to the courthouse by Mr. Ryle. That's the only logical conclusion, right? No, because it's not easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse doors is checked thoroughly for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as this inside. In that case, how do you suppose the knife ended up inside the courthouse? I need to think carefully here. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere There is nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organizer. However, it is fact that the knife came from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there is one item listed in Mr. Faraday's organizer that no one has claimed to have seen today. So in order to solve this mystery, I believe I will need to take another good look at the evidence. Miles Edgeworth, can't I take the fact that you have yet to answer me to mean that you don't have an answer for me? Actually, I do know the answer, Francisca. Then what is it? One of the pieces of evidence we've been holding has been hiding in a secret of its own. And it was through this piece of evidence that a knife was brought to the courthouse. It was brought to the courthouse because it's secretly a key. The Yatagarasu key Mr. Faraday mentioned in his organizer. This is how the knife was brought to the courthouse. At least you found out it was a deer. It was a relief. It was scary, but nothing really happened. There was no bison, at least, to be an excuse. But I remember getting incredibly unsettled when we were driving through West Virginia roads at night on the way home. Just no visibility in these big hills down the forest pressing in. Looked and felt like an opening moments in a horror movie. Yeah, that sound... Sometimes all it takes is the darkness and the unknown, and then you just get real freaked out. Like, I would never want to walk in the dark alone. It would freak me out too much. This is how the knife was brought to the courthouse. You're not making any sense, Miles Edgeworth. You just need to look a bit closer, Francisca, to see what I mean. And don't the color of the ornamentation of the key handle remind you of anything? Then do not remind me of the knife. Very good. Both the Yatagarasu key in this photograph and the murderous knife have this very unique design on their handles. Furthermore, even though Mr. Faraday mentions the Yatagarasu key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife. You don't seriously mean to say? It appears that you finally caught up. And yes, I do mean to say that these two pieces are, in fact, one and the same. But that's impossible. Even if that is what you believe, We should still investigate this possibility. Now then, let us examine the knife in a little more detail. The weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday, the handle and the blade itself have both a beautiful design worked on them. Look, there's even a flower-shaped design on this gold section here. If this hadn't been used as a tool for murder, I'd want it for myself. She seems to be drawn to the embellishments. Too bad it isn't mine to give.
My cousin always tells me about the weird supernatural stuff he runs into. Meanwhile, I've yet to encounter anything unexplainable. There was one night, just a normal everyday night, where something felt wrong, like cosmically wrong. I called a few friends and it was 12:05, so it was stupid late. But I felt I needed to check on them. All of them were still up. It also felt like something was wrong just happening. We were extremely on edge. Oh dear. Did anything ever come of that, Captain? Or is it just like this unnerving thing?
I can't believe it turned into a key. To think there was such a trick to this thing. So the weapon used to kill Mr. Faraday was actually the key Yatagarasu's stole. This piece of information is more crucial than anything we've learned up till now. Frankly, I'm shocked. Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key as aspect of this piece of evidence in his organizer. It's possible that he had no idea the key was hiding a knife blade inside.
Stares at camera. Nobody knows. Believe it or not. My cousin was working as a cop in a small town close by a couple years ago. People across town were reporting break-ins with supposed trespassers holding doors shut. In all cases, there was no one in the houses. One of his squad mates actually got stuck in the room this way, despite the room not having a lock. It's weird. It's freaky. They're both very freaky in different ways. Yeah. See, this isn't freaky in like I can't explain it way. But like because of I'm where I am in my apartment building, when it's windy outside, you'll get like huge gusts of winds going down the hallway because of how they like. I don't know how the wind gets in, but I know it does. And it always sounds like howling, like there's like some kind of like ghost or spirit going down the hallway. And it always freaks me out, even until I'm like, oh wait, that's just the wind. Everything's fine. But it's just like this tunnel down of air. Another guy locked inside his car. Appreciate this coming up in an Ace Attorney case with no supernatural elements. Like, we're not playing Ace Attorney and Professor Layton. We're just playing Miles Edgeworth, and he doesn't have time for this supernatural nonsense.
But if that's true, then the only someone who knew about the key to a knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday. Even among the law enforcement, this key was top secret. We're looking for someone who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday. Meaning that the only person it could be is the one who sent the key in the first place. The great thief, Yatagarasu. Then maybe Mr. Riel really was the Yatagarasu. And he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario? No, not really. Especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced Mr. Riel was not the Yatagarasu. Besides, the Detective Bad said earlier. Questioned Riel about what he sent along with the white card. Riel had no idea what it was. I see. Alright then. I guess the person who knows the trick behind the key is someone else, and that person is the real Yatagarasu.
We're just telling scary stories. The gameplay is just a vehicle for our traumas. Pretty much.
Seems like this key is truly the key to solving the case. I mean, I couldn't talk about this if I was playing something actually scary. But let's be real, we've seen me play something scary before. I couldn't do much talking anyways. I'd mostly be humming to myself and just try to keep myself okay. This gun was originally used to kill the Codopian embassy staff member. When the crime was reported, the responding police found Mr. Riel sitting holding it, which led to his immediate arrest. And then, the gun took out the original shooter's life. How ironic. Indeed. I never did get a horror Neo stream in November. You don't even play scary games anymore. I almost did. I actually did almost play one, but I couldn't get it to download in time for the stream, so then I was like, well, oh well. Good news, by the way. Looks like I'm nearing the finish line of getting my an externship. I know I say that every week, but it feels real this time. I'm talking to a real person on Friday. Oh, good to go, and Donnie. Congrats. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence. That's odd. We're short one piece of evidence. And that piece that's missing is the surveillance video that was played in court. The surveillance video? How could that piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go? The video showing the moment in which Mr. Riel committed the murder. Where could it have gone indeed?
Are you done with your inspection of the evidence?
Yes, I'm finished. However, Your Honor, I'm missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence. Your Honor, were you derelict in your duties?
What? No, I dare not lick my duties. What do you take me for?
I mentioned elsewhere, but this is basically the online dating experience. I did see that on Blue Sky. No, Your Honor, the most important piece of evidence in today's trial, the surveillance video, is not amongst the evidence you laid out for me.
But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the tape is still somewhere at the crime scene.
There's something wrong here. Something about this missing piece of evidence. It would appear that for me to find the answers I seek, I will have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime. Defendant Lobby Number 2. Bow, bow, bow. Who did it, guys? Look who it is! It's baby Sheilon! Okay, there was a glimmer of Judge looking inept in his expressions before returning to Kratos. Okay. Stretch. Okay. September 10th, 6 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. That's Detective Bad, but who is he with? I've never seen that officer before. So did you find it?
No, not yet. I've looked everywhere.
I see. Well then, please continue the search.
Understood. Continue the search. So you're the one running the show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't even be allowed at the crime scenes.
How dare you? Just who do you think you are? What was that all about? And who was that man just now? Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life. baby Edgeworth catching so many strays. Edgeworth just catches strays in general. Does he even know that we're standing right behind him? Prosecutors, period, shouldn't be allowed at the crime scene. No wonder he rushes to develop his icy demeanor to guard his fragile emotions. Yeah, it's true. I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids?
It looks like you're paying attention after all.
Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head. Ah, so the mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep an eye out on who is behind him at all times. So tell me, Detective Bad, who was that rude man just now? The guy came in here from the Republic of Zenfa study. He's Agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch. By visiting various police departments around the world, he has a lot of dedication. He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. So does Edgeworth frost his hair, or did he prematurely gray from the DL6 elevator? I wonder. This is a good question. It does look quite frosted, doesn't it? The guy's more useful than Gumshoe. Aww. Poor Gumshoe. Even if he's rude.
Then, I'm sure he's a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time.
I agree, however, I can't think of one young lady that statement also applies to. Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad?
Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well.
Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt it has nothing to do with me. Fine. If this is his game, then I must play. Then I will take the first opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. Okay. So much talking. I wanted to... Oh, no, I didn't want to talk to you, Francisca. That's not what I was trying to do. So we got the key. We got the thing. We read all this already. This fancy perfume. That's promises. Okay. More useful than Gumshoe. Bad, you realize there's literally an infinite number above 0. No, Gumshoe does stuff. He's useful sometimes. He's not a 0. I suppose it's impossible to enter and exit through these windows to make thanks to these bars.
I suppose you're right.
Actually, that's not true. I bet a person small of stature could slip in. Francisca, would you care to help me test my theory? Right, I must remember to be more tactful around the vertically challenged. Like, yes, Francisca is clearly very short right now. But it's really funny how much this is, like, a thing right now. And, like, later she's not that short, I don't think. I don't know. It's hard to tell with Ace Attorney games. They don't really line the characters up next to each other that often. But I feel that as someone who is vertically challenged. Okay. Talk to me, dude. Earlier you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You're quite a busy man, Detective Bad. Multiple returns to the crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say. I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct? I don't have anything left to say to you, boy. Boy, you'll see. I will draw my answer from you one way or another. Tall people are also vertically challenged, just in an inverted way. Turns out Bad has never seen any shootouts, just has a huge moth problem.
Would it kill you to help us even a tiny bit of the investigation?
I gave Faraday's notebook to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think? Please, we are asking you for just a bit more of your cooperation. Don't push me, kid. Francisca is 5'4" as an adult. So she's fine. Like, I think... What is the female, like, height average? Like, 5'6", I think? I think she's shorter than average, but, like, not a lot. Have you tried to cook in the kitchen for short people? I've only cooked in kitchens that I can cook in. I am about 5'1", so... 5'3" is average for women over in Japan. Yeah, that's true. But she's German, Chris. What is the average in Germany? My sister is 5. Vagina is 5'3". I'd like to ask what happened around the time of the crime. And yes, actually, I'm not even tall, and the kitchen I work in was designed for someone who was very short. How do you function? I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer the questions about things I don't know about? Things you don't know about, but aren't you supposed to know everything? He should. Wait, is this possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind the piece of evidence. I should try to show it to him. It may prove to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. Hey dude, this thing... It's a knife and a key. It's both. It's like a statue and a clock. Detective Bad, did you know of the existence of this item in the photograph? I thought I'd be fine working in the food service at my manageable height of 5'10", but every kitchen surface is apparently designed for hobbits. Now. So bonkers how short sinks and counters are. I assume you're part of the tall club, Captain. Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Atagarasu case. Is this part of that institutional sexism thing? Oh my god, it is. I mean, probably, yeah. Constant lower back pain from stooping. It's okay, I have the alternative. I have neck pain from looking up. In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know that the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and that the Yatagarasu key are one and the same? What? That's impossible. I'm hoping this new job will be height agnostic. Here's hoping, Donnie. It looks like he didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Atagarasu key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use the Yatagarasu key to prove Mr. Riel was not the real Yatagarasu. Isn't that correct? I guess so. However, Mr. Faraday had no idea that it was, in fact, a knife. Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact. And if neither of us knew, then no one in the law enforcement knew either. How did we miss something as big as this? I noticed that since a little while ago, you appear to be searching for something. I presume that this key is what you were searching for. Yeah, that's right. And why were you searching for it? Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life? Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more. All right. But it doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change. Oh, come on, dude. It'll change. Time of the murder. Detective Bad, I ask that you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1. My answer's still the same. And this is the last time I'm going to do this. That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up and find the truth behind this case. Oh my god, we reached an actual testimony or investigation. Look at us. Granted, I really was pausing a lot to just chat with you guys, which I've been enjoying, so it's fine. Detective Bad's movements. I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. Yeah, you gotta do that on a good case. When... not a circus case where you're desperate for something good. I just like to catch up under the pretense of games. Yeah. No, it's nice to catch up. I enjoy this. Why I like streaming. I mean, I also like people watching me when I stream because like I like to be I'm too used to people watching me when I play video games. I can't change now. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we ran to lobby number 2. It sounds exactly the same story he told us before. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information we can. We have to press him for information. Also, Ace Attorney is actually interesting since I've not seen these cases. Yeah. I mean, I love the Ace Attorney games. I think even the bad ones have their good moments in them, so. And I particularly like this Miles Edgeworth one quite a bit, so. Alright, pressing you, sir. Why did Miss Yu choose lobby number 1? Answer me! Who knows? She just said that she had something she wanted to talk to me about. And we walked into lobby number 1 together. That's all. So his answer remains the same as before, I see. Talking about some trivial things. What do you mean, trivial things? I was hoping you could expand on what you were discussing with Miss Yu. Trivial stuff. It was nothing important. That's for me to decide. Alright, I suppose it's for him to decide. Wait, what was that whole line? Moving on then. Heard a gunshot. Press. Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary? I didn't hear anything else strange sounds until the gunshot. The gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder. That would give that other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask you to please amend your testimony with that statement just now. Sure. Didn't hear any other strange noises until that gunshot. The balloon blowing up, right? Do we know when that happened? I forget now. It's been a bit. I assume I could just present the balloon. Objection! Okay, good. Oh, shit. We still have internet, right? And power? Okay. You want to talk about freaky? All of the street lights outside of my apartment building and down the block completely went off. I think some freezing rain got messed with the with the light sources. Ghosts, we summoned them. I have lights. I have power and light still, so we're good. But if I disappear randomly for some reason, you will now know why. The ghost caught me. Is what will have happened. It was just weird because it was just a big flash of like no light all of a sudden. Okay. Yes, the electric ghosts. You have power for now. Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? It's the same color as the one Kay was holding. Oh, so you knew about the Jagara's balloon? Yes, I was sitting with her up in the gallery. During the recess, just before we split up, I filled that balloon up for her. Wait. How did you fill the balloon up for her? Because Kay's balloon was floating, right? So that means it was filled with helium. Man breathes helium. Have I been talking as bad as Detective Bad Ron this whole time? Should I have been talking with him in like this high squeaky voice? It turns out he's incredibly high pitched. Yeah, yes. So, what about the balloon? Destroy your voice the other way. God, no, I can't. I'm in too deep now, but good to know. I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point. What are you getting at? This fragment was found in the hallway right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of the balloon popping that the judge mistook for the gunshot. Oh, so the sound that the judge heard was not the actual gunshot, huh? On top of that, His Honor heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial reconvened. Which means that His Honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway. When you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad, and if you were in lobby number 1 at the time, you were close enough that you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? What? Don't give me the so. They just prove that there's a flaw in your testimony.
Miles is like, this works every time Phoenix does it. Why can't I just do it? Why does everyone...
The crackling of truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete crackling. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something.
The double index fingers of smugness recoil at Bad's flippancy.
Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked. That's supposed to mean. The doors and the walls are super thick. The windows' panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of special sound-absorbing material. Then you mean... Since I was shut inside lobby number 1, there was no way I could have heard that sound. No! I knew what he was going to say. Then that means Gruffy's testimony is completely useless. The room's soundproof, and of course he wouldn't have heard any sound of struggle. That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now, do you get it, kids? Okay, but you heard the gunshot. Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around. The other way around? It's not possible to hear the sound of the balloon popping if one were in lobby number 1. However, if we examine the situation in reverse, a person standing in the hallway should not have been able to hear the real gunshot either. And yet, Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it while he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad, if that's the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? What do you mean, how? I just did. It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words. Oh, how so? If the rooms are soundproof, as you say they are, then as you say they are, how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears? I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I had thought. Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason. As to how Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard the gunshot, they theoretically couldn't have. It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? The state of the crime scene? Wait, can it be? The ultra strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it. Way too noisy. Lobby number 2's television. It looks like it was set to an incredibly high volume. The surveillance video. How could that piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go? I know where it is! What? Oh, I need to do one step first. Okay, fine. Fine! It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through the barred window. And yet, the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape the defendant lobby number 1. How dare you solve this? Of course, the incorporeal things can move freely through open barred windows like ghosts. It's set to a high volume so that the sound could go through. Incorporeal. Now then, what else besides smell can go both in and out the open barred windows? I don't believe in ghosts, even if they believe in me. The answer is sound. So no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows are open, the jig would be up. I feel like sometimes these like logic connection things are like the precursor to what they added in Dual Destiny, where they have the like end wrap up where like the lawyers are having their like final surge of connect the dots. I always enjoy those, so I am glad of their inclusion. So No matter how careful the killer was, the window would open, the jig would be up. And since the window was in both the defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of the gunshot could be heard in both locations. It's all coming together, except Katie's saying incorporeal. See, I always say incorporeal. Yeah, exactly! Hey, you got it that time. Thanks. The missing piece of evidence is in the video that shows the moment when Mr. Riel killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it played during the trial. The video should have been returned to the Faraday evidence bag for recess and brought back here. If that disappeared after that time, then it's possible that the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that is missing, that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what are you thinking? Stop wasting time thinking and let's start looking again. It's not a wasted time to think, for I have figured out where we should look. And where would that be? I believe we should examine the television. The TV. Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like. Won't rest till I inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. What? No. God damn it. That was the wrong button. Incorporeal. Video player. There seems to be a videotape inside. It looked like the tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end. This tape. Could it not be the missing surveillance tape? I suppose, but... Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verify the contents of this video? Sure, knock yourself out. I had to Google Faraday to remember who it was, and the top Reddit post was, why does K Faraday exist? Careful what you Google with that. That'll give away some things. Alright, let's rewind and see what we have. If I remember correctly, the footage of Riel killing the embassy staff member should be at about the 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. This should be about right. Now then, let's see. This is the footage of Mr. Riel shooting the embassy staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along. Oh, that's true. The missing piece of evidence, the surveillance video, was here all along. The sound. What's the meaning of this? It appears that Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, we can figure out the trick behind the double murder. You mean you figured it out then? Yes, all I have to do now is show what the gunshot Detective Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. Fine. In that case, show me what you've deduced. You said careful Googling K Faraday, and my first thought was, yes, Rule 34. I mean, careful for that too, of course. Where they heard it from. Won't rest till I inspect every nook and cranny. Okay, but what do they want me to do exactly here? Like, I know what's happening.
felt like the detective has the worst timing in the world, too. Someone purposely left this video on play. The question is why? Like, they just want me to show that this tape was playing and that's what they heard? Okay, no. This isn't what they want me to do. Considering Miles is basically married to Phoenix in the fandom's eyes, I think who that leaves for Kay's main love interest is horrifying given the next game. Oh dear. That's not promising. As long as it's not haughty, it can't be that bad. And through where they heard it from. Okay, but where do you want me to deduce? Like, they heard it through the window because the window's open. Oh, apparently that's what they wanted to do. The tape with the window. Okay, at least we got it on the second go. If the door and the window to the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun and no one would have been wiser. That's true. The courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing as it were. However, what happened in reality was Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu. All three of them heard the gunshot. Then, the window in lobby number 1 and number 2 and the hallway were open. So naturally, the people in the locations we could hear it. Ah, but then why would the criminal open the window in the first place? To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. That is the only logical conclusion we can draw from this. But why was it necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe that the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of the certain fact. What was the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of? When the crime scene took place. The killer wanted to fabricate a time of death to their precise wishes. Like, honestly, make both count, considering. Yeah, like, I understand what they're getting at. It's just because there's more than one way to do it that's a little weird. And they used the gunshot as the surveillance footage to do so. So, that's why the tape was left running. You mean the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes. Which means that the murders occurred at earlier time than we thought. It must have been during the recess, but before the Detective Gumshoe was on duty. Someone who had no alibi for that time period and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Thanks for the HP back. Mr. Edgeworth! Yes, what is it? Miss Yu's asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says that she's identified the murderer, but she wants to clarify something. Looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something. Understood. Please tell her that I will be there right away. I'll come back along. I want to hear what she has to say. It would appear that the time has come to uncover the truth. To be continued. This next part can't be that long, can it? I think I can finish this case tonight. Confrontation. Railroading the mystery, bad DM.
September 10th, 6:15 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 3. It's like 3 to 4 rebuttals. That's not too bad. I think I can get that in. Godspeed. Okay, what are you doing here?
Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating.
But the object you're looking for is already... Hold it. Okay, don't mind him. Please continue with your investigation.
Okay, you got it.
Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for? If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer, any task will do.
Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought.
We're gonna argue in the courthouse? What is this? I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth. I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest.
The moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest? Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest? I think we're more than solved this case already. Don't you think? We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds.
Hello? Oh, I see. We even have a viewer in the gallery. And why even Mr. Bad is here.
A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander.
I have a duty to see this case through to the end. No matter how it turns out.
Oh? Is that right?
Anyway, I thought you might like to hear what I've slaved away to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements. Pretty sure the wheezing laughing meme image is just tracking a view. Wouldn't surprise me. During that time when our suspect was in the hallway. I also confirmed that there is no possible route to escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must be, without a doubt, Detective Gumshoe. And that's all you have? Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion in this case. Sorry, but I beg to differ. In trial, there is always time for rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. I had to be more than appropriate to follow the rules of the court in this case, don't you think? Absolutely like a rookie to think such things. But alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony. If my logic is correct, I've already won. All I have to do now is prove it by showing who the real killer is. Misuse argument. Everyone in the assails this suspect has an alibi for when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirm that there's no possible escape route from lobby number 2, which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion. Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth. But of course, there's no need to confront her logic head on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump cards she has up her sleeve. Press her, bitches! Is that so? The suspect. But I thought Detective Gumshoe's alibi had already been proven. Are you joking, Edgeworth? I assure you this is no joke. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier. The detective was in the hallway with Miss Faraday's daughter eating the Swiss roll. Yes, that's correct. But see, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who can corroborate that what he did since the snacking. I see she's done her research well. Which means that I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she's holding. Areas from the crime scene have been thoroughly investigated.
Hold it!
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunched up eyebrows and the lines on your forehead are back. Anyway, even if you believe that it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene, lobby number 2, has no way out other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. And because he claimed to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. But isn't it also possible that someone escaped through the window and into the garden? I do find it hilarious that Miles and Gumshoe both meet their biggest supporters by defending them against murder allegations on the first day of the job. Miles and Phoenix. Yeah, that makes sense. Pretty much. That's the first place everyone looks, silly. Police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad? Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden. I suppose they really did check everything that could be relevant to the case. Confirm there's no possible escape route from lobby number 2.
Hold it!
Are you absolutely positive there's no possible route to escape? Of course I'm sure. And why are you so certain? Courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to justice. If there was an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense. Miles Edgeworth, I suggest you use a bit more in the future. Yeah. Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion. They're the killer. You may think that it's unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand? But you're the one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, it doesn't mean that you know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care what's that sort of thing. I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me in such a flippant statement. I suppose we really reached the end now. I've already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. But before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Francisca or myself speaking with you about the subject. Yeah, but there were witnesses. For you, there is your mentor who gave you an alibi. I see. As for the little missy, she came into the courthouse during the recess and was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway. She gave him quite a whipping for that, or so I heard. I'm the daughter of Manfred von Karma. I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or a bailiff or anyone else. Wait, so basically the only reason Francisca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be a replacement prosecutor. By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about them? Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went to lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived at the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1, the only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about that when you and Detective Badwa heard the gunshot, shall we? I suppose that if we go by your logic, then Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when the gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap meant to... Sadly, your explanation's very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1? Care to explain how that could be fabricated? Yeah, with this tape, bitch.
Take that!
Tape? Yes. It's exactly what you think. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Riel prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded in the video player in lobby number 2 that was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean that sound that we heard was a gunshot in the video. But I do. Which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anyone heard the gunshot. That's the only thing I can think of too. After committing the double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag, turned the television volume all the way up, and left the video to play. If played from beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot to come up. And since we now know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up a possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection!
Sounds from television doesn't amount to much here. But of course, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew. Didn't we, Miles? Yes, of course. We know about the soundproof quality of this courthouse rooms. Of course, I'm not about to admit I had no idea until a little while ago. That's right. If the rooms are soundproof, then we should not have been able to hear. And yet, we heard a gunshot clear as day. And that's the end of the story. But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear the gunshot? The window was open! There is actually one common point between Lobby 1 and Lobby 2. And it is despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed. A window is open in each. Now, we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, the window in lobby number 1 was also opened.
Objection!
It's probably just a coincidence that they were both open at the time.
Objection!
It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the lobby open in Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is that a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened, and the person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. Who could it be? Oh crap, even Bad's on his side now. Soon, even the woodwork will have migrated to his side. Real killer in this double murder is...
Take that!
Miss Callisto Yu. I hereby formally indict you in the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Ryle. What? You indict me? Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think that she is the killer? I don't understand her motive just yet. But of course I'm serious. Because she is the only one who could have done it. Well, Mr. Yu, do you still feel like laughing now? Of course I do. Of course I do, Edgeworth. My argument must not be tight enough yet. Although I never thought things would spiral into this. I'll have you know I'm enjoying this dance quite a bit. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right? Let's use rebuttal. Your argument that the window was open. However, do you have any proof that it was I who did that? Furthermore, do you have any proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked that you going around accusing people of murder like this. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours. This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down even for a second, or the truth will blow away. Now is the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test. We must present perfect proof, guys. Is this technically proof for this? Because it was her perfume that made it open. Let's give this a try. I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Now the real logicals begin. Edgeworth, I never knew you were into wearing that kind of perfume. Von Karma patented perfect proof. We didn't fabricate any evidence, though, Miles. Like, Miles is still naive enough to think Von Karma is legit. It's not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know. What? This isn't mine. That's right, it's mine, and I received it from Detective Bad, you see. Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like, but we know at least this much for sure. That you are the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And you're super easy to rile up. So, what about the perfume? Well, you were in lobby number 1. You made a big show of spilling some perfume. That is according to Detective Bad. Oh, I know. You also knew that if you spilled it, he would naturally move to open the window.
Objection.
Come on, I've already told you that was all just a big coincidence. After we opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know. So maybe it was a dumb luck that we heard the gum shot through the window.
Objection.
The timing of when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the more important fact about the case is that when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean? Miss Yu, you were the one who called the Detective Bad into lobby number 1. When you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct? All of today's premeditated events could only have been thought up by you, Miss Yu. You accuse me of murder on the fact that I spilled a little perfume? Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Look, I've had a lot of fun today, really. But I grow weary of this cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Why, it couldn't be me. Oh, music time. Accusing someone of murders over spilled bottle of perfume is a bit over the top. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be suspected of a disciple of Von Karma. Oh, she went there! In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. Unless you count her testimony, that was called a rebuttal, but I don't. Miles, her testimony is flawless. Yes, but no matter what sort of trick she may try to pull, she won't escape me. And if I'm lacking information, I'll just draw it out of her. Okay. So for the sake of my dear voice, let me see if I can figure this out without having to press everything. Forgery is expected. It's not a forgery. In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife was that came from. Okay, this is the one I will press, because that makes sense to me. Oh. At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, Miss Yu. Maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag. Miles, what do you think you're doing?
I'm drawing the truth out of her. That's what I'm doing. Huh. I don't recall a knife being presented in the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday yet to use. So that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had yet to present was the key the Yatagrasu had sent. And unless that key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. About that. Did you really think you could just trap me? Come on, be honest. I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you just said to your testimony. Sure, why not? I'll even say it as many times as you'd like. Can't kill anyone with a key. Ma'am, I have terrible news. Keys are now finesse weapons.
Objection!
Tis, tis, tis. Miss Yu, I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. This picture of a key the Yatagrasu sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it is in fact the secret ability to transform into a knife. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yatagrasu's key and the murderous knife. You knew that the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yatagrasu's key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Now, do you understand? Just knowing that... Uh-oh. I still haven't had a good look at it. Showing it to me from far away, you could be lying for all I know. You would, even now, still feign ignorance. I'm not feigning anything. But we can't have you accusing me of a crime with false evidence, now can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma. I've heard some very interesting rumors about him. Are you mocking me, Papa? Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. Now take a good look. This piece of evidence is more than real. Wow, who knew there was such a trick to this thing? Are you satisfied now? Oh, naive, poor Miles. Why did you give the suspect a piece of evidence? This is before he became too jaded. But of course, you knew from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew the knife and the Yatagrasu key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you, who isn't a member of the law enforcement and who would never have been privy to this trick, would have never known about it to begin with. Furthermore, something that the Yatagrasu sent to the police. How did you have knowledge of it as it was? Actually, I heard about it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Riel off, he told me. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. He also told me about the key turning into a knife at that time. But he didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms.
Objection!
What are you saying is simply not possible? Oh, and why not? Because Mr. Faraday himself did not know about the hidden knife within the key. For within these pages, he mentions nothing of the knife.
Objection!
I'm not so sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know. Wouldn't something of that importance be better left to oral communication?
Objection!
Unfortunately, that's also impossible. Because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. What would have been highly classified information even for the police? And is something that even the lead detective on the case didn't know. Why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition? Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much reason to. Looks like I gave a pretty lame excuse, huh? How could you laugh at a time like this?
She probably realized the flaw in her logic and is actually a panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with. I suppose you're right. Miss Yu, I'd like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife. Do you now? Why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show me? Oh, I will. And I'll wipe that smile off your face by the time we're through. This is it, the moment of truth, the secret behind the Yatagarasu key. Only one person would have had the knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would have known from the start that the Yatagarasu key could change into a knife? The Yatagarasu. There is only one person who would have known the dual nature of the key. And that is? And that is the person who sent the Yatagarasu key to the police. That is to say, the Yatagarasu herself. Are you saying this lawyer is the great thief Yatagarasu? Miss Yu. A gasp. You used Mr. Riel to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You, who professes to bear a grudge against criminals. Why? Why do something like this? Who would have thought that you, a stupid rookie prosecutor, would see through me? You're sending the biggest chill down my spine right now, Edgeworth. This feeling of thrill, it's even greater than when I sneak into some place. You killed Faraday. Why? Answer me, Callisto, you. Callisto, you, huh? That's not my real name. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagarasu. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. For you see, he had discovered my true identity, which is why I had to erase him from the world of law. I made Riel an offer, an acquittal for a little favor in return. All he had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday of being the Yatagarasu in court. But once we entered the recess, Riel was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw my plan into a complete mess. I chased after them, and he's dropped on them through a crack in the door. That Riel caves to only two things, money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined if Mr. Faraday held on to Riel any longer. Plus, if I had to let them continue on the way they were, I would have been found out. That's why I had no choice. I had to kill them both. But didn't you say that you despised criminals? Do I really? Have you forgotten about the KG-8 incident too? Maybe. That sort of womanhood. So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence that you sent? Well, I had a good idea what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Riel wasn't the Yatagarasu by using this Yatagarasu key as evidence, and he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With a weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. Because who in their right mind thinks something like this could be a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 on the pretext that I had to talk with Mr. Faraday. And in order to get with him, I pretended to be worried about something. He let me hold the Yatagarasu key just like that. He never noticed that I had changed the key into a knife inside the plastic bag. He didn't have a chance to take a note to the knife that took his life.
How could you kill him?
I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought I'd give him a quick and painless death. But you killed Mr. Faraday first. There was no need for you to kill Mr. Riel as well. I believe I mentioned when you were placing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having it accidentally created an eyewitness. And how that led to the killer to think about setting them up as though they killed each other. Then the trick with the surveillance tape. Yes, I hadn't actually planned to use a gun. The risk was too high that I'd be caught. However, that's when I remembered the existence of a surveillance tape. Which is why I had Riel help me set up the crime scene. And after all that was said and done, I rewarded him for all his hard work with a bullet. You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you? How could you betray a client? Edgeworth is personally offended. Client. You want to talk to me about who was a client of whose first? It was me. I was the client in the murder of the Cordopian embassy staff member Deadman. You ordered a hit job? You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad. I had Deadman killed because he was about to give away information into the smuggling ring. I mean, she just said she was a great thief first, but sure, keep thinking of her as a defense attorney.
Oh, let me just check something real quick. Oh, I need my charge cord real quick before my battery dies. We're almost at the end of this case. Okay. Now, who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination? It can't be. You're... That's right. I'm a member of the smuggling ring. How could this... You don't mean you're working with Manny Cochin too, don't you? Maybe, maybe not. Guess you'll never know. The Yatagarasu claims nobility, but you're just a cold-blooded murderer. That's right, little girl. The Yatagarasu is just another killer. Be quiet. You. Yatagarasu. You can run from the law, but you'll never escape it. So just humbly accept the judgment of this court. Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know why that is? No? Well, let me tell you. It means that the Yatagarasu has more than one razor-sharp way to do her work. Oh, she pulled a gun, guys. That's not allowed. We're in Japan, California. Guns aren't allowed. You really are too naive, Edgeworth. You even handed the Yatagarasu key right to me, without a second thought. Everything may not have gone according to plan, but I'll still gladly take it. You mean the key was your real target? And even after I gave you such a great advice, didn't I tell you to always keep a good eye on the criminal? Or you may regret what comes of your negligence. You two, get down. Eek! Ah! My body, I can't move.
Hey, mister, to your right!
Oh! You! Edgeworth almost died. Are you all right, Francisca?
I'm perfectly fine, Miles.
Her voice is shaking, but it looks like she's unharmed. Where did Kay go? That gunshot! Uh-oh. September 10th, 7 p.m., District Court, Courtroom number 3. Did you get a new hole in your coat? Sorry, but it looks like she got away. I called the precinct. They should have a perimeter set up soon. Detective Bad, are you all right? I heard a gunshot. I'm okay. I just got another hole in my jacket. He may say he's fine, but he looks quite shaken. More importantly, boy, I mean Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma. He used their names. He acknowledges us. Are you too hurt?
Huh. I'm absolutely fine.
I am also all right, thanks to Kay. Speaking of Kay, where is she? I don't know. She just sort of disappeared. I'll go look for her. Oh, and hey, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir! Detective Badge, sir! I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't worry, sir. It's not your fault. Well, I lied to you guys after all. To be honest, the Derringer is so low-powered that you may be better off with a sling and rock from ancient days. I heard about what happened from Kay. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. But in this case, you were protecting Kay and her feelings. Looks like you may just have what it takes to be a real detective. Now, don't you ever lose that detective spirit, okay? You got it, Pops!
Pops, watched one too many detective dramas recently, have we?
No, if Deadlands is any indication. How is that going, by the way? Has character stuff been all straightened out? Way to single-handedly destroy that cheery atmosphere in one shaky comment. I should be getting back to investigation. I swear I'll catch you if it's the last thing I do. Finished advancement. Excited for session 2. Sweet! Be careful, Detective Bad, and take care. Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again someday. We're almost to the end!
Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find out the truth behind everything.
Yes, well, I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison. Oh. And yes, young Edgeworth and Francisca are a good time. The first fight against the cows were a little rough to start, but then I got lucky during your shot and we started rolling all over. Judge is sad Santa now.
I can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe.
It's no problem, really. I mean, I lied too, so it didn't really help anything. It's not your fault, Your Honor.
Well, even if we didn't have His Honor's testimony, I think that the lawyer would have found another way to get you convicted on her behalf.
Yeah, I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as a detective.
Well, so long as you're not fired, you should work hard, give all you have, and perform your duties well. Oh, and one more thing. Kay left a present for you with me.
She did? Oh, what is it?
What was it that Kay left for me? The proof of their friendship.
I could give anything, but I will give the proper thing. Here is the sweet roll.
Take that!
It's a courthouse special sweet Swiss roll. Can I really have it?
Yes, it is a present meant for you after all.
I guess there won't be Christmas this year unless something can break the fog.
Thanks so much. Thanks a bunch. You have no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now.
Sure, go ahead. The Swiss rolls Detective Gumshoe and Kay brought together. While the one Kay saved never reached her father, it would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective.
Swiss roll will be Gumshoe. All Gumshoe has is stuff up for 2 days and doesn't get buy more instant roll noodles. Please don't tell people how I live, Gumshoe, probably.
He's so happy as though he's having a welcome back celebration of his own. Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him.
Whoop! That was good, pal. I can't believe I got to eat 2 of these delicious things in one day. It's like I'm in Swiss roll paradise or something. I gotta thank Kay myself. Hey, wait. Where is she?
You only noticed it just now. Was his mind not present when we discussed her earlier? Detective Bat left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him.
Yeah, you betcha, pal. I'm gonna go help him. Oh, but first. You know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be so rude to you anymore, huh? I'm gonna stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edgeworth, sir.
It's the start of their friendship, if that's what you want to call it.
I sense nothing but the most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement. We should go home, Miles. We have to hurry. Report what happened to Papa. Agreed. Well, I'm afraid we must be going now, Detective.
Roger, sir. And don't worry, I'll investigate the next case we're on real well.
I'll be counting on you. The scent of trouble is definitely in the air.
I fail to remember when Gumshoe was ever rude to him. At the start of this case, he was a little bit. I think he called us kid and stuff like that, but, like, that's about it. It wasn't, like, overly mean or anything. More just, like, we don't take you seriously kind of stuff.
Thus, the bad dream of my first outing at court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as the prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. But that is for another game. Trials and tribulations, if you will. After that, he became my direct subordinate. I have tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he has caused me. Aww. But I suppose that's just how things are. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... So, do you remember now?
Yes, I remember everything. Kay, it's been a while.
Kay, you sure grew up a lot.
Of course. But thanks goodness. But I thought you two had totally forgotten about me.
You know, I was really worried about you after that. Where have you been all this time?
Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. They lived really far away, so I wasn't really able to come back here after all that much.
Oh, so that's what happened. Well, I'm glad that you're all right.
So, does it all make sense now?
We were just doing this conversation in the last case, basically. We flashbacked so that we could flash back in the flashback.
You bet it does.
Oh, you know what? I was going through my father's bookshelves recently and...
Actually, there's still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay.
Huh?
First of all, why did you come all the way to see me? And second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu? The Yatagarasu is Callisto Yu, the woman who killed your father.
No, you're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father.
Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu.
Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelf recently, and I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure.
But that's impossible.
What's with that look? You don't believe me?
It wasn't just the expression on my face. I clearly said it was impossible just now.
All right then, how do you explain this?
It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing.
Yep, that's Little Thief. Truth be told, this is the Yatagarasu's greatest secret. And this little gizmo, it was used by my father.
Wow, Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor, he was also a great thief, huh?
Yeah, my father worked really hard to steal the truth. But he was killed, and the Yatagarasu was no more. But despite that, the Yatagarasu has been spotted again recently.
Someone other than you.
Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article.
The Yatagarasu sends an embassy a calling card.
Yeah, meaning this person is a fake. I'm almost certain that's Callisto Yu ladies behind this. Because the real Yatagarasu would never send something so gaudy, something like a gaudy card out.
But the Yatagarasu did send white cards along with anything to be publicized. That's what Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves.
Well, as soon as I heard the news, I got all wound up and I knew I just couldn't let it go. So I searched you out, so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anyone can help me find it, I figured it's you, Mr. Edgeworth.
So you're saying that I have your father's and Miss Yu's identities backwards?
Yeah, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace.
Kay.
Kay, you're so honorable. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'll always be here to cheer you up, pal.
Even if you are honorable, a thief is a thief. And if you are plotting to commit a crime, then I'm afraid I can't be complicit.
Mr. Edgeworth, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now?
Mr. Edgeworth, what I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of that evil woman.
That evil woman? You mean Callisto Yu?
I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe... Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me?
But can you please rebrand to a mythical creature that isn't 5+ syllables? Yeah, saying I can't even imagine doing Yatagarasu if I didn't already like have like Japanese syllables knowledge.
Come to think of it, I do believe I owe you. Huh? Owe me? For what? When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. I am not so rude as to leave favors unrepaid. Then you mean... Yes. That case has been weighing down on my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. If you don't intend to settle your hands in the crime, then I believe I can help you. Mr. Edgeworth, thank you!
The Yatta grass.
Yay, Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Isn't that great, Kay?
Yeah, it sure is, Gummy. Even though he had completely forgotten about her until just now. What's with their chummy relationship? She's my daughter-oo. No. The great thief Yatagarasu. After all that time, the true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. Bern Faraday, Callista Yu, and Kay Faraday. The phantasmagorically changing identity of the great Yatagarasu. Really? Phantasmagorically? Okay. Only Edgeworth would use that in a sentence. And the Yatagarasu's real goal would all come to light the day after I made that promise to Kay. The end. Ah, yes. Puzzle of the Okay, we have done it, friends. We defeated the 4th case. There is 1 case left. It's probably going to be 4 streams at least, maybe 5. We'll see. It's a long one. So. Yeah, exactly. But good night, guys. I've got a little late. My end time that almost perfectly. Good job. I'll talk to you all later. Good night.